Magnus, please sum up your performance at the FIDE World Cup.
Overall, I'm satisfied with the performance. The classical part was very, very good with 8 wins and no losses. I think everybody, when they play such a tournament, they aim to win it, but it's very, very difficult against such opposition in a knockout format. I have to say, winning 6 out of 7 matches is something that I'm generally happy with. Winning the World Cup has been a goal of mine for some time, so that goal still hasn't been achieved, but I guess it's good to have something to strive for still.
Yes, and this time you were closer to win it than ever before. What went wrong, do you think?
I think there was only really one weak moment in the match against Duda. Obviously, he pressured me a bit with the white pieces, but I think I handled that fairly well in the classical part. And then I think there was that one game, a combination of me somewhat losing my nerves, and also clearly he was the one playing the strongest chess of my opponents here. So if I was going to lose to somebody, it would be him. But I do think that I will win that match more often than not, obviously. But I knew coming in that Duda is not only strong at classical, but also very good at rapid and blitz. So it was going to be a strong opponent, and that's what happened in this format. Sometimes you lose to strong opponents if you play enough of them.
Yes, knockout is very cruel. Do you think that the chess world needs more knockout events?
I've always been very much in favor of knockout events. I think in a way they are the most fair. So I'm all for that. I think the public also like the fact that there's drama in every round, and that there's always going to be a decision. It's unbelievably cruel on the players.
But still, it's fair.
But still, that's the way it is, and I think there's no particular harm in us for us in experiencing those emotions. And even though it's cruel, the good thing about knockouts is that when you lose, you can just go home. So it's cruel to be out, but at least you don't have to suffer in a bad tournament for weeks.
Yes, and this time we also faced other problems. Were the anti-COVID measures here in Sochi a difficulty for you?
I felt that in general people here were pretty relaxed about COVID. Obviously, there was a scare at the start with the positive tests. But yeah, I'm happy as far as I know, everybody's
negative.
Yeah, everybody's okay now.
Yes.
And I can personally, I don't really mind the mask and the testing and everything so much. It's become kind of normalized, and I'm just happy that we were able to have this tournament without a lot of problems.
Yes, and there are sometimes there are comments when you're taking part in the events which are integral part of the cycle. And the comments are like this, that you are somehow interfering in the qualification system. So what can you answer to those who say it? And also, will you consider playing in the candidates event if you have such a possibility?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So far, both in the World Cup and Grand Swiss, I haven't reached one of the qualifying spots. But you can say that, yeah, I've knocked out people along the way. I mean, personally, for me, especially the World Cup is such a prestigious and interesting event. So I'm very happy to take part, and I don't think it's up for me to decide whether I should be allowed to or not. But I mean, I'm very happy to take part, even though I understand to some it can be a bit confusing to see the system, but it's not up for me.
So if you're allowed, you're taking part, right?
In general, yeah, I don't have any like ethical problems with it.
Speaking about the World Championship matches, since 2013 you have played in 4 matches. So do you enjoy this type of chess events? And which match was the most difficult for you and which was the most memorable?
I would say the most difficult match for me was the one against Karyakin. I started out fairly okay by putting serious pressure. I was winning in both the 3rd and 4th games, but after I couldn't win them, I sort of got out of rhythm a bit, and I was very close to losing the match. I never had a good feeling at all during that match. So that was definitely the most difficult and the most stressful, and also the least enjoyable for me. I guess the most memorable is the first match against Anand. Since then, everything was new, and I was the challenger. But I would say the most enjoyable for me has been the match against Karana in 2018.
Why?
I just had a different feeling during that match, since I felt that Karana was pretty much equal to me in rating at that point, and I felt that he was a completely equal opponent, and that sort of made it easier for me because I didn't feel the same way that I needed to win the match, since I didn't feel like I was playing somebody who was who I should beat. So I would say the match in London, was a great experience in general, and obviously a memorable win.
Yes, and let's speak about the first coming match against Jan Nepomniachtchi. You already said that your future opponent is very aggressive and interesting player to play against, and the match is going to be exciting. How do you estimate your chances?
I think my chances are good. I'm very happy to have gotten some experience with classical chess here that I need for the match. But I do understand that I'm going to face the best version of Jan that we've ever seen on the chessboard, and I'm very happy for him that he's managed to kind of stabilize and show the level that he's capable of at a more consistent level, which he did in the candidates. But I still feel if I can be at my best, I will have very good chances to win.
But still, Jan has a better score against you in classical games from the youth events. And is it important for you?
For me, that is on one hand, he does have a good score against me. Some of them are from long ago, and some of them are from a little bit later. But I will take some comfort in the fact that I have a good score against him in Rapid and Blitz events. So it's not like it's completely one-sided. But I think, yeah, the score he has shows that he can be very strong, and probably most of all very difficult to play against. Like I never had a good feeling playing against him, because you always feel like he's the one applying pressure to you rather than the other way around.
And once Jan said in the interview that now it's impossible to win right from the opening these days, but if your preparation is insufficient, you would easily lose after the opening. What do you think about the opening preparation these days in modern chess? And are there any differences between your preparation for the match and for other events?
Yeah, I think opening preparation for the match is generally deeper than for other tournaments. You usually prepare some new ideas, and most of them you kind of use during the match, partly because your opponent is also going to surprise you and be extremely well prepared. So that's why you see a lot of people there, they're using their ideas after the match. I think the preparation has become a little bit different now than it did, let's say, 15, 20 years ago. I think people are now more looking to find playable ideas rather than advantage with white, and it feels like there are more things you can make playable with black as well, with strong engines. So it's become more and more difficult to get advantage with white, and I think easier with black.
Yes, thank you. And chess has changed a lot since the beginning of 2020, with multiple online chess events taking place and the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour among them. What future do you think awaits the chess world?
I think it's going to be a hybrid of online and also over the board. Personally, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing more shifts towards more rapid and blitz and also knockout events. But I also like these events like the World Cup, where you have to show your best both at classical and also rapid and blitz. I think that's part of what should make you one of the best players in the world, that you can master every single format. But I think for me, certainly I will be taking part in both during the next few years.
So you think that chess will survive the COVID-19 with hybrid? I mean, both usual and
I think
online.
I think over the board chess will not disappear, but probably there will be like before the pandemic, it was only more or less over the board chess that mattered, but now I think it will be more evenly distributed. And I think also the pandemic has opened up a lot of people in the chess community have found work in. They have found their niches in different online
like
segments.
Streamers.
Yes, streamers also, new teachers, people who are selling their courses on Chessable and making a lot of money from that. So people have found new ways to make a living. So in that sense, the pandemic has not been so bad for chess.
Yeah, and will you recommend young chess players to study chess book, or is it too old-fashioned? Because I remember you have said that people should study classics, but is it important now? Or, for example, now we have AlphaZero, so is it still important?
I think it's still important to study classics. Whether you get it through books or like online courses, I don't think it matters too much. But still, I think there's something to be said for learning like principles of the game from classical games, because you will see that even though chess has evolved quite a bit, you can still learn a lot from it.
Yeah, and do you think that the chess players should train physically like other athletes, like football players? Basketball players?
Yeah, I think there is not as big a demand on chess players to be physically fit, but I certainly think it helps. It helps a lot. I certainly feel it myself that whenever I feel good physically, I play a lot better. So that's an important thing. And I think also there's been a shift in chess players' mindset that a lot of people are more aware of this, and making more of an effort to have not only a healthy mind but also a healthy body when they play.
Yes, and the final question of the biggest part of the interview is how deeply are you involved in the day-to-day work of your business empire with Chessable, Play Magnus, New in Chess, social media, and so on and so forth?
I'm first of all a chess player, so that's what I can do best for the company and everything to play chess and to do it well. I certainly have a say in what's going on in the companies, but I don't make day-to-day decisions. I think there are people who are much more competent to make those.
And the second part is some Blitz questions. So don't think long.
Yeah.
It's not chess. It's not classical chess. So what can make you angry?
A lot of things. First thing that comes to mind is losing at anything.
Have you ever cried after a game?
When I was young, I cried many times after games.
The lost games.
Yeah.
You meet many well-known and famous people. What was the most memorable acquaintance?
I'm not sure if it's politically correct to say, but the most memorable, I think, was Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He was a very imposing figure.
Yes, and whom would you like to meet from people of the past?
People from, I don't know, pass.
Alöchen. Okay. Whom would you like to invite to Real Madrid as a substitute of Sergio Ramos?
That's an interesting question. I will bring Haaland and Mbappé, and one of them will play in centre back for Ramos.
Nice. And do you like Jo Nesbø's novels, the Norwegian writer?
I would say, I definitely like some of Jo Nesbø's novels, and he's a very good storyteller.
And do you like being famous?
I would say I don't aspire to being famous, but overall it's more positive than negative.
Whom would you like to be if you hadn't been Magnus Carlsen?
I don't know, Messi maybe?
Yesterday he quit Barcelona, by the way.
Yeah, but he still has a good life.
News. Yes. And what is your greatest fear?
Very superficially, I've always had good health, so if I were to lose that, would not be good.
Yes, and last question, what makes you happy?
Harmony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.